Now, I guess one thing that I'm wondering about is how many people are aware that there's a PHP conference happening next week, not too far away from home, over in New Zealand.
What PHP conference?
What PHP conference? Really? Well, actually, yeah, there's been a lot of work that's gone into making a PHP conference happen relatively close to home. And from that point of view, that both Steve and myself, we're going to be at that talking, which that should be really good fun. And Rasmus Lerdorf, of course, is going to be there as well. So I think probably most people are going to be looking forward to hearing from him and having a good old chat when the opportunity arises. But from that, actually was quite interested to understand how many of you guys would actually go to a PHP conference if there was one right here in Sydney. Yeah? Right, okay, so there's a lot of hands there, right. So, it's something that we're actually looking at doing and putting on a proper, two-track event, It's the sort of thing which we're looking to gauge interest in, first of all, because obviously if we're going to go and do this thing, we want to do it properly, and we want to make sure that, people are going to be wanting to come along to it. So we think that people want to, and that's kind of confirming it there, so that's really good. Great. So I just turned around there because I heard a cough, and I wasn't sure if someone said No, it's just that persistent
It's behind
cold.
you, Dave.
Yeah, what's that?
It's behind you.
It's behind you. Oh, yes. Yeah, so that persistent cough, you should get that looked into, anyway. So it should actually be quite an interesting experience. I think that when it comes around to organising something like this, it can be actually quite easy to just go, oh yeah, the conference is happening, that's it. But I know from talking with the guys who are actually running this thing, there's a lot of effort that goes on behind the scenes into making it happen. It sounds like they've actually bitten off a real big bite of the apple with making this happen, so it should be really interesting to see how it goes. And hopefully we'll be in a situation where a lot of those things will be filmed and we'll be in a position where that can be shared out. I thought it'd be good to ask and see if anybody wants to talk about any projects. Maybe you're working on a new startup, something like that, and you're thinking, look, I wouldn't mind having some extra people on board, maybe some volunteers to make something happen, or alternatively actually a proper business venture. Anybody in that position? Yeah? So you guys wanted an opportunity to come up and tell people about it a little bit? Yeah. Sure. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
I'm Emily.
Emily, yeah, no worries, here you go, thanks.
Hi everyone, I'm Emily. I'm co-founder of Expert360, which is an online marketplace for business consultants, for marketers, IT guys, anyone, businesses come to us, big and small, to find people on a flexible basis. So a particular project, or I'm a small business and I'm growing and I think I need a CFO, but I'm not really sure yet, or I think I'm about to launch a new product and I need to bring in a marketer to help me do that. So Expert360 is an online marketplace which facilitates that, kind of an Odesk or freelancer, but higher end work. And so, yeah, we built the platform in PHP. We're also dabbling in new technologies like Go and Elasticsearch. That's where we're building our recommendations engine and whatnot, and we're growing our team. So that's why I'm here tonight. I'm not a dev person, as you can probably tell. Daniel, he's one of our team. He's here, so have a chat to him. Yeah, we're hiring and we're growing, and we'd just love to have a chat to anyone who might be interested. Okay, thanks.
Alrighty, folks. So. Sounds like another interesting thing that's happening. And oh, there's a hand up there. Fantastic, yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Well,
WordPress is just basic. Just what gets better.
I was going to ask you. Yeah. I've been waiting for someone to do that.
Yeah, and it's remarkable. They seem to the right idea. just type it. But I don't know. I haven't just restored it.
Yeah.
Because I just my spare time in the evenings.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, just
It's not even numbers, it's imaginary numbers.
just not been working, and therefore she's working. She's working.
Yes, I
She
can
has to go
see
to
my website
Great, I
loading
get
speed very
loads of
slow
time
because I like high-res
work.
images. I'm a designer. So this is my main issue because my website is mainly image-based and I work for hotels. So the concept of my website is I transfer the concept of the hospitality of hotels to my website. It's like you visit my website, it's like visit a hotel. So it's like first of all, first page is welcome. Well, second page is take a seat, please, and check my portfolio. Third page is coffee time. Have a drink, talk about business. Well, when you leave, keep in touch. So that's the basic concept of my website. And my work, that's the most important part. Well, it's the download speed is the main problem. If
You're the
anybody
developer, we can help you.
help me, please. I really like high-res images, but well, the download speed is just.
Beautiful images, they should just be much smaller.
Where are they? Come back, come back.
Dave, you could write a script for
Okay,
that.
Sounds like you
Come
need a
back,
compression algorithm.
So are you
with a
looking
really
to
good Wiseman's
partner
score.
with developers, or are you looking?
Yeah, well, I am starting my own business. I want to start. I'm freelancing anyways, but I wanted to start my studio. So of course it will include a website because if I'm do branding, a website is one of the project. So I need a co-founder if I can fund. So well, I recently branded Playford Hotel. It's a 5-star hotel in Adelaide. So yeah, let's download the speed.
So do you have any cards or anything like that you can
Well,
pass around for
on
people
my
to?
on my website there's a contact. You can email me. I will show you.
If you want to, you'd be welcome
my
to
God.
add it
So
onto.
slow.
That's okay. What you can do is, if you like, you could add your website onto the comments for the meetup,
Ah, yeah.
and we can have a look. That'd be good.
It's so slow.
No worries.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. That's great. So if you, lovely looking at stuff. I'm sure we can give you guys a hand. Fantastic already. So, folks, anybody else? Anybody want to share any projects you're working on?
What are
Anybody-
you fishing for, Dave? What
What,
are you interested in?
what am I interested in? I'm interested in so many things, and some things that are okay to talk about right now, some things that are not so okay to talk about right now. Yeah, anyway, not okay to talk about. No, I'm actually very interested in what's going to be happening next week. I'm actually very, very passionate. Look, you know, as far as PHP is concerned, I think there's a lot of things that are happening. You know, there's been a lot of focus and push towards really making PHP the language that runs in the back end, and it all being about APIs and very much PHP living in that space and just serving data back to simple JS front ends and even some complex JS front ends. And I think that for me right now, I'm really in love with this idea of the Angular JS front end and the back end PHP. Because I know PHP, I don't know Node yet. I'm interested in Node, but I'm also, from a PHP perspective, extremely interested in PHPNZ. Have you guys heard anything about that?
Yes, there's going to be PHP 7.
Yes, yes. So show of hands who knows of anything at all about PHPNZ. Yeah, so there's a few hands and some that don't. Okay, so what? What? Don't let anyone hear. Get him. It's slower than HH, man, or whatever. Who cares about that? Just the thing that runs Facebook. Yeah, whatever. Who cares about those guys? What's that?
Is that web scale? Are you sure about that?
What? Really? Ah, So anyway, PHPNG, it's being suggested that that guy is going to be PHP 7, mainly because PHP 6 was the version that was doomed to never be, because of all the issues trying to get the Unicode stuff sorted out. But PHPNG looks as though it's going to be a really very interesting thing, and also it's something which I don't know if any of you guys had seen, but Sydphp was going on about it. And for anybody who doesn't know, PHP was initially kicked off with Rasmus Lerdorf, and then round about when version 3 came along, we had Andy Gutmans and Sydphp. Those two guys, along with obviously the community as well. It wasn't just like it was just those guys doing it. You had Andy Gutmans, Sydphp, really pushing hard at trying to take PHP up a level. And now the company Zen Technologies, that's Andy and Zev, those guys really running that operation. And the thing that it really sparked my interest in PHPNG was because I actually became aware of it through Zev's blog. So he was going on about how PHPNG was so much faster, it was blisteringly fast, and he was doing some tests actually comparing it with Hip Hop Virtual Machine, so HHVM, that's what was being referred to there before. So he was benchmarking against that in different versions, and what he was finding was that in certain cases, it was sometimes more performant, but sometimes less performant, but generally he was finding that it was more stable than what the build of HHVM was. But again, you've got to take benchmarks always with a pinch of salt. You've always got to have a look at what the circumstances are under which these things are being tested to understand if it's a fair test, and also, is this the version that people are actually using, or was it just some side branch that some guy was working on at 2 in the morning and thought, yeah, I'll push that, and then thought, oh crap, it's seg faulting all over the place, It's hard to tell, especially when something's really, really new. So you only find out really what people are telling you because you're not necessarily the one who's experimenting. You're relying very much on people in the community saying, this is what I did, this is how it turned out, and hey, it's faster than Node, or it's whatever, or it's HHVM, it's faster than that. But anyway, the main thing that I think is going to be quite interesting, I'm currently having a discussion with folks at Zend, and it looks as though very likely around about the middle of next month, we'll probably be able to get Andy Gutmans, the CEO of Zend, to come and talk about app agility, putting mobile first, continuous delivery with working with PHP applications, but particularly enterprise PHP applications, and then also PHPNG as well. So I think that's going to be quite an interesting conversation. I think it's one that potentially we might have to cap numbers on in order to make sure that it's an environment where everybody can hear and properly chat through these things. So it's probably only going to be relevant to people who are really super interested in those topics, but if you are, I think that'll be a really good event. We may choose to do that as a one-off thing, as well as having the normal Sydphp. But PHPNG right now is something that's really interesting me, but I don't know when I'm going to actually be in a position to actually start using it. But I'm definitely going to start looking at it, and I think it'd be really good if people have a bit of spare time and want to try experimenting with it. Maybe hit us up on Meetup and we can talk about it and maybe work together on it. Maybe it's worthwhile having a little workshop where we get together and just grab a coffee or whatever, some beer, just sit down and start playing with it and having a look at what's different and what's a good thing to do with it. I think that would be fun. But for me right now, the biggest thing is going to be preparing for next week. The talk that I'm going to be giving at the New Zealand conference is going to be all about rapid API development with app agility. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard of app agility at this point, other than what I've mentioned of it previously. Who's heard of it? Maybe a quick show of hands. Yeah. Good. Okay, so quite a lot of people haven't. So in that case, then I'll just talk a little bit about it. The thing about app agility, just to give a bit of reference, back around about 2007, there was a framework, a PHP framework came out, which was Zen framework, leveraging some of these things. I think it's a much more sensible and accessible approach. So I imagine that that's the main reason why they're doing a big push, particularly right now, to go out and talk to lots of different communities. But I'm not going to make it to ZenCon this year. I really wish I could actually, because it's the 10th anniversary. I know somebody up the back is. There you go, Ollie. Yeah, you're going to be having a good time there, sir. Yeah, absolutely, fantastic. And so, given that that's the case, I'm really keen to hear particularly about those aspects, where they see things going from the point of view of API-driven applications. Because essentially, when it comes to mobile app development, or just general app development these days, if you can have one really solid API that you can build all of your features upon, then it makes sense to do that, and then just have a very simple client which just consumes that data and sends data back. It's the way it should be, really. Keep it really simple, and then keep things separate as well. If you think about it, you might have a brochureware website that you want to be able to demonstrate your product to people. You have that, you can scale that on the one subdomain. Then you've got your API separately, you can scale that guy separately. You've got much more control over how you build these different architectures, and I think that it's just getting easier. And probably in the industry that relates to system administrators and hosting providers, it's all becoming much more about immutable architecture or immutable infrastructure. Being in a position where you can define how your infrastructure and architecture should be, and then just spin it up, and then have tools, automated tools, that then create execution plans to bring your systems in line with that expectation. All these things are very, very exciting, and I'm rambling tremendously. Anyway, Jack, did you want to say a few words? Yes, absolutely. Okay, folks, well, look, given the time, is it time for a quick break, or do you want to talk about... Yeah, sure. Well, in that case then, folks, I've enjoyed sort of rambling off to you. I'm going to pass on to Jack here, and then go from there. Cheers. Thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you.